Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon and hashtag Clownfish was right. Yeah, yesterday I did a video talking about how I really think Kotaku and Polygon were going to see a lot of layoffs after the news broke the giant bomb and GameSpot had a lot of layoffs. And after looking at the advertising situation and talking to people, I've been saying for weeks that this year might be Kotaku and or Polygon's year to either get sold or get gone. And less than 24 hours after I put up a tweet saying that, you know, keep your eye on Kotaku and Polygon, that their day of reckoning is coming, it's been announced that there are layoffs at Polygon. Yeah, that Vox Media is going to be laying a bunch of people off. Now, I'm not particularly happy about it. I mean, it's a very tough market right now if you're a video game journalist, but the reality is these sites were never really sustainable. They don't speak for the fans. A lot of the people writing for them are not fans. In fact, I would consider them to be anti-fans. They actually openly antagonize audiences, antagonize gamers, antagonize readers. You know, we talked about Phil Spencer yesterday calling for unity in gaming, which I'm sure is just lip service because, you know, he's a suit, but still, it does seem like things are changing. And I think Kotaku really stepped in it with the MagFest situation where they, you know, some people associated with Kotaku lost their shit because MagFest put up a sign joking about Kotaku's journalistic integrity. And these websites, again, are not sustainable. The ad revenue is running out. The venture capital is running out. And we're going to see a lot of this. There are going to be a lot of unemployed journos this year. They're going to ramp up attacks on YouTubers, but it's not going to do any good. Hate to break it to you. We ate your lunch. We ate your lunch a long time ago. And the only reason you guys have jobs now is because of venture capital and ridiculously overinflated ad rates. You know, times were good and now they're not. And gamers, they've already moved on. They moved on years ago. As soon as Kotaku started attacking gamers moved on, and we're seeing the end result of that. It just took a long time for the money to finally run out. And this is the year, guys. 2023 is the year. So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 288, almost 289,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. Greatly appreciated. And again, we have been following the implosion of digital media, and there are layoffs coming. Vox Media laying off 7% of workforce, and apparently Polygon is affected. Of course they are. Of course they are. These comic book sites, these video game sites, the ad rates are not good for them. I can tell you for a fact, as someone who owns multiple websites, some of them you've heard of, some of them you haven't, some of them we don't talk about because I don't want people going after the sites or whatever, but the reality is that video games and comic books, those news outlets have some of the lowest ad rates in all of digital advertising because their audience, frankly, isn't really worth it. If you're in something like, you know, finance or travel or tech or something like that, you get better ad rates. But video games and comic book sites do not get good ad rates, guys. And they basically depend on their sister sites doing better, or Patreon, or maybe they get a lot of video views, and that offsets, you know, what's going on there. But I knew something was up with Polygon, and I actually did a video talking about, you know, how weird their YouTube channel was right now. And then I took it down because I'm like, well, okay. They haven't uploaded any regular videos to Polygon in over 2 months. All they've been uploading are shorts. And it seems like they're not doing that well on Twitch either. And it seemed like their video production basically stopped. And I kind of knew that something was up because they were not posting monetizable videos during the most monetizable time of the year. Historically, October, November, December, Q4 is the best ad rates of the year. YouTubers know this. A lot of YouTubers ramp up their content output at the end of the year because they're going to get, you know, possibly twice as much money, you know, and then they take off in January or whatever. But I mean, this year the ad rates were down a little bit, but they were still up. For a company looking for money like Vox, and knowing that their websites aren't making much money, you would think that they would have taken the opportunity to crank out as many videos as they possibly could during those 3 months to try to save themselves. And they didn't. They actually stopped posting videos. Again, monetizable videos. They have shorts up, but the shorts, you're not making money on shorts. Monetizable videos, they stopped posting them right when we were coming into Q4. So I knew something was up, and I put the video up, and then I actually took it down because I'm like, well, I don't really know what's going on. This is speculation on my part, but something's up. And we did a video on Kotaku talking kind of about the same thing. So that's kind of, my train of thought. So I knew something was up. And here we go, guys. Vox Media lays off about 130 employees, 7% of their workforce. Digital media firm Vox Media, home of brands including Vox.com, SB Nation, New York Magazine, Vulture, The Verge, Thrillist, Now This, and Polygon. By the way, Polygon, they're not mentioning that. Why haven't they mentioned Polygon in here? They do own Polygon. Is laying off 7% of its workforce across departments, resulting in the elimination of about 130 jobs. Vox Media CEO Jim Bankoff informed employees of the cuts in a memo Friday, citing the challenging economic environment impacting our business and industry. The layoffs will hit several different teams across revenue, editorial, operations, and core services. Unfortunately, in this economic climate, we are not able to sustain projects in areas of the business that have not performed as anticipated, like Polygon, are less core to where we see the biggest opportunities in the coming years. Video game news sites are imploding at a shocking rate, by the way, shocking rate, or where we don't have enough rationale to support ongoing investments in what could be a prolonged downturn. In spite of the dedication of the many talented people involved in these initiatives, we need to scale back. The company doesn't expect further layoffs at this time, but we will continue to assess our outlook, keep a tight control on expenses, and consider implementing other cost savings measures as needed. Employees who were pink slipped include Vox.com senior correspondent and former culture editor Emily St. James, Thrillist senior writer Dustin Nelson, SB Nation writer Jazz King. I'm furious for my other talented colleagues, worried for myself, and very tired as I am on maternity leave, which sucks. It sucks. The cuts come after Vox Media laid off 39 employees in July of 2022. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because I know the media is not even bringing it up because apparently Polygon is that unimportant. But I went and looked for layoffs at Polygon, and sure enough, it's happening. According to a thread on Resetera from Nesbot, Nesbot, and nobody's really commenting on this because we have a lot of Polygon journos hanging out on Resetera. But Charlie Hall, who is the senior editor of tabletop games at Polygon, said, "What's it like to work in Vox 2023? You spend a few weeks writing about some of the most impactful changes in your beat to happen in several decades. Then the CEO kicks off Friday with a note that everyone who is laid off should know in 15 minutes. So what I think he's talking about is Dungeons and Dragons. He's a tabletop guy, right? He's a tabletop guy. Yeah. So D&D, there have been tons of stories about D&D and all the bonehead decisions that Wizards of the Coast has made. And I'm sure it's actually brought a lot of traffic to Polygon, but they're even like, yep, we're going to lay people off. They're going to lay people off. Absolutely ridiculous and awful to hear. Sorry, Charlie, you built the tabletop desk at Polygon into something wonderful. Best of luck to you and your team. Pulling for you and the team. Shit, man, all the best. Sending positive vibes. I'm not seeing much else as of recording this. I'm not seeing many other people talking about getting laid off. However, they might be forbidden from talking about it. They might have to sign some papers that say, hey, you can't tell people you got laid off until we make the announcement. Again, Polygon is so unimportant to Vox, it hasn't even been mentioned in several of these articles, but they do own Polygon. And I think Kotaku is definitely going to see some cutbacks as well. They had some cutbacks last year. Just look at the body count for video game news sites, right? I mean, look at this. We've lost so many sites in the last couple of years. And just yesterday, layoffs at GameSpot, Giant Bomb. Kotaku published kind of its own pre-obituary, I think, yesterday, talking about GameSpot and Giant Bomb having a bunch of layoffs. But they also mentioned other sites, right? IGN having a bunch of layoffs, G4 getting shut down, Tencent gutted the staff at Fanbyte, Game Informer, laid off, shut down. So many of these websites, they're not sustainable. they're not sustainable. The reality is that gamers have moved to video. Gamers have moved on to individual critics, reviewers, players. They're not going to these websites anymore. And they're especially not going to these websites since these websites hate them. Gamers know Kotaku hates them. I mean, it was Kotaku who declared gamers are dead. It's Kotaku who keeps beating the drum about how awful and sexist gamers are. And Polygon's not far behind. I mean, I would say Kotaku is definitely the worst out of the two. But I can tell you that your credibility with gamers has been shot. And you're going to continue to bleed viewers. You're going to continue to bleed readers. It's going to happen. I mean, it's pretty sad when you go to Polygon's YouTube channel and they have over 1 million subscribers. And their videos, for having over 1 million subscribers, really aren't pulling a lot of views. You know, I mean, they're really not. It's just, nobody's watching this. Nobody's watching this stuff. And I have to wonder, like, how many of these videos were actually boosted, that the company paid to boost them to try to ramp up their YouTube, because these companies stupidly think that they can just walk into YouTube and out YouTube professional YouTubers. Like, we're going to put together our version of Critical Role, and we're gonna try to compete head to head with people that have been doing it professionally for years, and it doesn't work. I mean, hell, Kotaku's is worse. Kotaku's only got 368,000 subscribers. Their videos, you know, look at this: 465 views. Mob Psycho, 1.6 thousand views. Persona, you do a video about Persona, 890 views. Vinland Saga, 683 views. Marvel, 1,000 views a week ago. And Kotaku does cross-promote their videos with their website. So that tells me, again, as I said in a previous video, that tells me how much traffic they're probably getting to their website. I think a lot of it, I think there's a shell game being played, and I think that the piper wants paid. I think that the ad rates are drying up. I know personally that a lot of advertising networks are really cracking down on traffic sources and the countries that the traffic comes from. And I am wondering if this isn't going to eventually kill off these websites. It's definitely happening. Like, look, I'm not trying to delight in people losing their jobs. I mean, there are good people working at even the most garbage tier websites. But overall, these websites have demonized and attacked gamers for years, and I can't feel too bad, because gamers just went someplace else. They went and they found other gamers to listen to, because a lot of the people working at these sites now just really aren't gamers. They prove it time and time again, or they may be, but they loathe themselves, they loathe the industry, they loathe gaming culture, and you have no place working for a gaming publication if you hate video games and you hate gamer culture. I mean, it is what it is, guys. So I'm going to wrap this up. This is one of those times when, you know, hate to say I was right, but I totally was right. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.